Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to dig into something that can save you a lot of time and energy, 7 clear signs that you're dealing with a low-value woman. And if you spot more than one of these, you seriously need to consider moving on. Let's get into I1. She can't control her drinking or drug use. If you've met a woman who constantly drinks heavily or experiments with drugs, that's a red flag you shouldn't ignore. Maybe you met her in a party scene, bars, clubs, social events where drinking feels normal, and maybe she's charming, fun, and you feel a spark. But here's the truth. If she regularly gets drunk or needs substances to have a good time, you're looking at a long-term headache. You might tell yourself, she's just going through a phase, or I can help her change. But in reality, habits like these rarely disappear, especially if she's not self-aware or motivated to grow. She might pull it together in the beginning to win you over, but sooner or later the old behavior resurfaces. Worse yet, if you try to address it, she may resent you and flip it back on you. You knew how I was when we met. This dynamic is toxic and unsustainable. Substance abuse can lead to reckless behavior, embarrassment, fights, and even infidelity. If you find yourself constantly being the responsible one while she spirals, it's a preview of your future with her. You're not her therapist, and you shouldn't sacrifice your peace trying to fix someone who's not even trying. If this bothers you now, imagine how much worse it'll feel years down the line. Don't ignore the signs just because you feel a connection. You deserve a partner who brings peace, not chaos. 2. She's a regular smoker with no intent to change. Smoking might seem like a small vice, especially if it's normalized where she's from. But if she smokes regularly and has no interest in quitting, it's worth paying attention to what that says about her mindset. At its core, smoking is knowingly doing something harmful to herself and to those around her. It affects her health, her appearance, and even your space. You might brush it off at first, thinking it's not a deal breaker, but over time, the smell, the mess, and the health risks become harder to overlook. Smoking isn't just a bad habit. It's often a sign of poor impulse control, addiction, or a disregard for consequences. And if you're thinking about kids or family in the future, secondhand smoke is a serious concern. Sure, people can change, but you have to ask, does she even want to? Or is she defensive, saying, it's not a big deal, or everyone in my family does it? That's not just a red flag. It's a sign she's unwilling to take accountability or grow. Even if she's otherwise kind or fun, this behavior paints a bigger picture of someone who settles into destructive routines rather than rising above them. Being with someone who prioritizes their comfort over their health and yours isn't a future you want to invest in. Don't look past this thinking you'll learn to live with it. You'll just end up resenting it more and more as time goes on. Continued in next response due to length. Here's the continuation of the 250-word breakdown for each remaining point. 3. She dresses to get attention, not out of self-respect. Let's be real. How a woman dresses can reveal a lot about her mindset. If your partner consistently wears ultra-revealing outfits, especially when you're not around, it might not just be a fashion choice. It could be a craving for male attention. We're not talking about style or self-expression. We're talking about women who dress in provocative ways, specifically to draw eyes, stir interest, and invite compliments from strangers. If you express discomfort and she brushes it off or accuses you of being controlling, that's not confidence. It's defiance. A woman who respects herself and her relationship will value how her choices affect you. If she enjoys dressing up and feeling sexy for you, that's one thing. But if she's dressing like she's single every time she goes out with her friends and ignores your concerns, that's a different story. It shows that she's more interested in being validated by others than in making you feel secure. That kind of behavior often stems from insecurity, low self-worth, or a need for external affirmation. And that's not something you can fix. You'll constantly feel like you're competing with strangers, questioning her motives, and eventually growing resentful. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and boundaries. If she can't acknowledge how her behavior affects you, or worse, enjoys the power it gives her, she's not high value. You're not asking her to change who she is. You're asking for basic consideration, and if she can't offer that, you're better off walking away. 4. Her past is a string of meaningless hookups. Everyone has a past, but some pasts reveal more than we like to admit. If she openly shares a long list of casual hookups or brags about her wild days, that's worth reflecting on. This isn't about judging her, it's about understanding patterns. A woman who's cycled through dozens of flings often carries emotional baggage. She may be chasing validation, intimacy without commitment, or escaping deeper issues she hasn't resolved. High body counts don't just impact physical health, they influence emotional bonding too. Science shows that the more partners someone has had, the harder it becomes to form long-term attachments. Why? Because when someone has been emotionally intimate with many people, they often struggle to stay grounded in one connection. There's always the temptation of the next best thing. You might be telling yourself, that's her past, she's changed. So maybe, but don't ignore how her history might show up in your future. Jealousy, comparison, insecurity, or even boredom. Some women don't actually want stability. They crave chaos, attention, and the thrill of something new. If her stories make you uncomfortable, or if you sense she's still romanticizing that lifestyle, don't convince yourself you're just being insecure. You're seeing the truth. There's nothing wrong with having standards. Wanting a woman who values exclusivity, emotional depth, and loyalty is not too much to ask. You're not judging, you're protecting your peace and your future. 5. She constantly gossips and tears others down. One of the clearest signs of a low-value woman is how she speaks about others when they're not around. If she's always gossiping, trashing her friends, mocking acquaintances, or even criticizing your family, you're dealing with someone who thrives on negativity. At first, it might seem harmless or even entertaining. Maybe you laugh along, but over time you'll realize it's toxic. A woman who badmouths others constantly will eventually do the same to you. If she talks behind everyone's back, what do you think she says about you when you're not around? This isn't just about being catty, it's about character. A high-value woman speaks with integrity, keeps things private, and doesn't need to elevate herself by tearing others down. Worse still, women like this often try to isolate their partners. She might start subtly bashing your friends or creating tension with your family. She'll claim they're toxic or that they don't get you, slowly pulling you into her world where she's the only one you can rely on. That's not love, that's manipulation. If the people in your life are generally good, but she's the only one with a problem, that's a red flag. And if she doesn't have long-term friendships herself, only new or surface-level ones, chances are she's been cycling through people her whole life. You don't want a partner who brings drama into every room she enters. You want someone who brings peace, positivity, and loyalty. Watch what she says and who she becomes when no one's watching. 6. She has no healthy, lasting relationships. A woman's relationships, family, friends, past partners, tell you more about her than her words ever will. If she has a trail of broken connections and no real long-term friendships, that's a sign of emotional instability. Maybe she blames everyone else. My friends turned fake. My family's just toxic, or my exes were all crazy. But if the pattern repeats over and over, she's the common denominator. A high-value woman builds and maintains healthy connections. She doesn't burn bridges just because things get tough or uncomfortable. Ask yourself, does she have close friends she's known for years? Does she speak respectfully about her family, even if they've had issues? Or is she constantly falling out with people and quickly replacing them? This also shows up in romantic relationships. If she jumps from one guy to the next with no real break, that's someone who fears being alone. She's not growing. She's just distracting herself with the next emotional hit. And if she's quick to move on, she'll likely be quick to move on from you too. You want a partner who values emotional maturity and loyalty, not someone who treats people as temporary. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. If she doesn't have any long-term connections and is constantly in some new friend group, that's not independence, that's instability. Don't ignore these patterns. They'll tell you everything you need to know about how she'll treat you once the honeymoon phase ends. 7. She's emotionally closed off or rigid in her thinking. A low-value woman often shows her true colors not through wild behavior, but through emotional and mental rigidity. If she's close-minded, unwilling to see other perspectives, try new things, or grow from her experiences, That's a red flag. Relationships require flexibility. If she's stuck in her ways, refusing to adapt or understand your world, it'll become suffocating over time. Maybe you've tried introducing her to new ideas, taking her to new places, or even having deep conversations about beliefs and values, but she shuts down, mocks it, or flat out refuses to engage. That's not strength, that's fear disguised as stubbornness. Everyone has their comfort zone, but a partner who's truly high value is open to growth, willing to listen, and emotionally curious. When someone is mentally rigid, it affects every part of the relationship. Conflicts become exhausting because they're never open to your point of view. Plans become arguments. And eventually, you'll feel like you're living with someone who doesn't really see you or care to try. Worse, their worldview is often shaped by fear, trauma, or control. And if they're not self-aware enough to grow from it, you'll end up emotionally stuck too. If a woman isn't willing to evolve, emotionally, intellectually, or relationally, she's not ready for a relationship that's built to last. You need a partner who grows with you, not someone who holds you back. Final thoughts. Look, no one's perfect, but if she's showing more than two of these behaviors, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. Is this someone I can build a future with? Or am I wasting time with someone who will only bring drama and disappointment? Don't fall for potential. Look at the pattern, and if it's toxic, it's time to walk away. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.